Welcome to the Herd's official YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast, all of our NFL instant reactions, and more football content. Urban Meyer and Steve Sarkisian last hour. You know, nobody, when they expanded the playoff to 12 teams, everybody's like, whoa, that's a little much. Now I'm one of those people saying, and I didn't say that, playoffs are fine. But a lot of people did. Well, now I'm like, I think Texas should be in. I think Miami should be in. Oh, that would be 14 teams. I'd be totally comfortable with it. So we've always said this. You know, you expand the playoffs, it just creates different arguments. You know, I watched Miami hammer Pitt. And Miami beat Notre Dame head-to-head and has the better scoring defense, better total defense, better passing game. Now I'm like, oh, that head-to-head seems to matter more. So, yeah, that's the way the world works. Like, you know, you thought anytime you expand a playoff, it's like saying, oh, we've got a private club, a country club. We used to only let in 100 members. Now we're letting in 150. And then the 151st guy is, hey, the 140th guy's a schmuck. How am I not in the country club? Like, you had this small club, 4, now it's 12, and now I want Miami and Texas in.
All right, let's move on. College football. Here we go. Lot of debate. Miami Hurricanes, they whooped up on Pitt, so obviously, I mean, Colin said so. Hey, that's a great win over Pitt with those beautiful throwback unis. Head coach Mario Cristobal lobbying hard for his team to get in the playoff.
Everybody wanted to see how Miami would do in the cold weather on the road against a top 25 team, and I think we answered those questions very clearly. So at the end of the day, it's not only do we pass the eye test, we pass the field test, right? Especially as it relates to playing this brand of football down the stretch and in head-to-head competition versus others that are being judged in the same little pool that we are as well. Plus, we're getting healthy.
Yeah. So I watched this game, and I thought it was going to be close. And after this game, you do a little homework. So think of this. Miami won head-to-head.
Okay, timeout. That needs context.
No, let me finish.
Okay.
No. It still matters. Even in the NFL, the number one tiebreaker is head-to-head. Now, September football doesn't mean as much in college or the NFL that it did 5 years ago. September doesn't mean what it used to in college football. It's never meant anything in the NFL. But head-to-head matters. Miami won. They had 4 common opponents. In 3 of 4, Miami beat the team worse than Notre Dame did. Okay, so in 3 of 4, Miami has the better total defense and scoring defense. Miami has the better passing offense, yards per game, total touchdowns. And I thought it was a legitimate I thought they would go here, cold weather, win, and be ugly. They were great. So they blew out North Carolina State 34, Pitt by 31, Stanford by 35, Syracuse by 28. I got to tell you, when this game was over, my take was, okay, we got to be fair on this. Head-to-head, you got to contextualize it because it was in Miami. But you know what? Sometimes that's the reality of the schedule. You don't get every game, big game at home. If they did, USC would be elite, right? Sometimes, I mean, this year, Texas A&M doesn't play Bama, Georgia, Oklahoma, or Ole Miss. Schedules matter. Miami got a break. They got Notre Dame at home. Right now, this morning, I think Miami would have a right to be pissed. Like, hey, we scheduled you, so wait, we got you, and we beat you.
Okay, timeout. Again, context. You said September football, it matters. What about August football? This game was August 31st, Colin. It was the first ever start for Notre Dame's quarterback and a rainstorm on the road.
But it was August for both teams.
Yes.
And I won, right?
Okay, at home. Great.
Listen, Texas got Texas A&M in Austin. Sometimes that's the way it works. Yeah. I mean, it's very rare. Like Ohio State lost at Autzen last year. Luckily, they got to play them again. But if they hadn't, people would have said, well, Oregon's better. They played a second time. Ohio State beat them by like 40.
But doesn't that show that the first meeting means nothing? That first loss by Ohio State meant nothing. It was like,
no, it didn't, because it validated how good Oregon was and Miami's win when you couple it with 3 wins. They had common opponents. So So not only does Miami have head-to-head, okay, let's go to common opponents. No, Miami wins that too.
Well, wait a minute, by scoring margin. So, hey, you beat South Florida by more than Notre Dame, or whatever the team is. What about the losses? You've conveniently ignored losing to Louisville and SMU and not even making the ACC title game.
I said last week, punitive losses are what kept Bama out last year when they lost to Vandy, because losing to Oklahoma didn't kill Bama, so I'm not denying it. The reason this is a go-either-way argument are the ugly losses.
Yeah.
But you start stacking the arguments. So, I mean, here's a prime example. If I say, okay, what is the best Miami win? They can say, well, we did beat Notre Dame. Go to Notre Dame, and what is your best win?
Well, we beat USC, I guess.
Okay. USC, half of you want Lincoln Riley fired. Okay. So I think it is a good win. But Illinois beat Notre Dame, and Oregon hammered Illinois beat USC, and Notre Dame hammered USC, and Oregon hammered US. And I'm not saying, I'm just saying, so I beat them head to head. I have the quality win, common opponents. I mean, at some point we got to be fair about it. We can't do, like last week, my take was I think Notre Dame would win. Well, that's not the way it works in the NFL. You go tiebreaker, common opponents, head to head. It's not fair for me to just go, well, I think Notre Dame would win. I do, actually. But that's not fair.
No, I totally agree. Now, here's where it gets real crazy. What if Alabama beats Georgia? You can't keep Alabama out of the playoff. Right now, I don't know if they're in, but if Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC title game.
Well, Alabama's in.
And Caleb, we think they're in. Who are they in ahead of? Are they definitely ahead of Notre Dame and Miami?
I am not anti-Notre Dame. I love Marcus Freeman. But Notre Dame loves all the upside of independence. They love being independent. Well, Miami, they're in a conference. And sometimes in a conference, the schedule goes your way, and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, Ohio State would have rather played in Columbus than Ann Arbor. They were the better team. I have to take out, I can't do confirmation bias. At some point, head-to-head, common opponents, better defense, better pass game. And when I watch them beat Pittsburgh, it's like they beat the holy hell out of them. Like they crushed them.
Any Miami fan that says conference, you just say strength of schedule, who had a tougher one? And it's Notre Dame by a mile. So it's a fun discussion. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think the Miami-Notre Dame thing is, I mean, I'm watching the Pitt game, and I'm like, man, that's impressive. Then you start looking at all the numbers, and you're like, okay, I got to be fair on this. You got to be fair. Head-to-head now, it's got to be something. Common opponents have to be something. Well, our schedule, schedules are weird. I mean, half the time like Texas has beaten 3 teams that were ranked in the top 10 when they played them. So that's why I would have no problem with Texas being in. Sark's on next hour. It's the Herd. And Ole Miss wasn't good enough for Lane Kiffin. Say what you want about Kiffin. You don't have to like him. Harbaugh to Michigan, Kiffin to LSU, they feel big. Harbaugh was controversial for years. Kiffin's going to be controversial every 4 weeks. This is great for college football. There's an attention economy in college football. Dion did it at Colorado, put eyes on the program. He's just not the coach, Kiffin is. And this is not LSU, much better program than Colorado. And I say this to all the bitter people in Mississippi. I understand you're hurt. But would you have signed up for this exit when Kiffin got there? You've been irrelevant forever. I think last time you won an SEC championship was in the 60s. Anytime you're good, you have a Manning quarterback, Arch or Eli. If I'd have told you 4 years ago, Lane Kiffin's going to burn you at the end, but it'll make you the #1 offense. It'll be the best Ole Miss football team ever. Stadium's packed. Everybody in the country is looking at you. You'll feel proud to be a Mississippian and an Ole Miss fan. He'll leave you. It'll be ugly. You'd have taken it on the spot. You date the supermodel. She dumped you. You knew it was coming. I mean, you were cheating with Hugh Freeze years ago, so you played the game in college football. You were paying people when you weren't supposed to pay people. Don't get too precious, Ole Miss. Your history was Hugh Freeze. You supported him. NCAA, outrageous. Nick Saban stopped recruiting in Mississippi with Hugh Freeze because they were just buying players. So you played the game before, and this is the game. It's an $8 billion industry. I have complained for years about college football. It's boxing. Bob Arum, Don King made a fortune, and a handful of boxers did. But it was unregulated. That's why Dana White shows up and the UFC dominates boxing. It's organized. It's got a CEO, right? It's an unregulated, I said last week, it's Bitcoin. You buy it, you better know it's turbulent, and you're going to get scorched. You're going to have bad days, and that's college football. I don't love leaving before the playoff, but college football's calendar's always been weird. And college football has put up no boundaries or regulations on this. So the last 50 years, Ole Miss 5 times has had a 10-win season. Kiffin gave you 3, and he gave you your only 11-win regular season. Okay, and you got busted for cheating years ago with Hugh Freeze, Houston Nutt, or Ed Orgeron. I can go through the coaches. Nobody wins there. Kiffin not only won, he won big. And the SEC has always had one rule. Always. Eat or be eaten. This was bound to happen, and you don't have to like Kiffin, and you don't have to like the way it looks, but he's a ladder climber, and a lot of coaches are, and I get it. Nick Saban, get out of here at Bama. USC fired him on a tarmac. Lane Kiffin's reality is Al Davis fired him weirdly. USC fired him strangely. You think he's losing sleep? And if you didn't know that going in, that's a you problem. Now, this ridiculous comment that Lane Kiffin should be allowed to coach at Ole Miss having the LSU job, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So I don't blame Ole Miss for moving off him. I mean, that's just ridiculous. People that say that on other networks, you've heard of relegation in the English Premier League. You should be relegated as an on-air talent if you're arguing that. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's not going to happen. I'm rooting for Ole Miss in the playoffs. Selfishly, I wanted to watch Lane Kiffin. I wanted to see it. I don't think they're as good as most teams, but I think they could potentially beat Notre Dame. They're not beating Ohio State. I don't think anybody's beating Ohio State. But come on, man. College football, it's like a weird black market economy. They don't have a CEO. They don't have a president. The old wild, wild west in the 1800s when you used to have territorial governors, that's what you have in college football. They're called conference commissioners. All they care about is themselves. Here was Lane Kiffin after.
This was a very challenging, difficult day. You know, we went through a lot last night with Keith Carter trying to figure out a way, you know, to make this playoff, you know, run work and be able to coach the team. And at the end of the day, that's his decision. And I totally respect that. I understand that decision. And, you know, so I just totally wish the team the best of luck, wish that I was coaching, but understand that it was a very challenging position for him and the chancellor to be in, and totally respect that. So, you know, just really hope they play really well and go win the national championship.
Good job by Marty Smith there. Hey, listen, this idea that Kiffin's trying to wreck the program. Have any of you guys ever gotten a great job? Because when you do, you take 3 or 4 people from your great job to the next job. It didn't take the entire staff. He's not trying to wreck the program. He's not rooting against Ole Miss, but he's now the coach of what many coaches perceive as the best job in college football, or at least top 3. The reaction at that little airport in Oxford, though, I got to admit, let's play it sound up, is pretty funny. I'm sorry. That I could watch that on a loop. I'm sorry. But it's always remarkable to me when people get into relationships with people who have a clear ID, who have a clear brand. And I know Lane. I always got along with him fine. He's not for everybody. I think he's grown up. But you'd have taken him if I'd have told you he's going to burn you in the end, but it'll be 4 years of bliss. You'll be the #1 offense in college football. Everybody will be talking about you. You're going to make the college football playoff. You'd have signed up for it in a heartbeat. It just ended up like Bitcoin acquisitions. Bumpy, you feel burned, unregulated. That's what it is. Don't buy the coin if you don't like the outcome potential. So and Ole Miss, you know, you're not going to let him keep coaching there and have another job at LSU. That's dumb. All right, J-Mac, we got Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears. Are they going to run the NFC? How about this weekend slate of games? Bears-Packers, Thursday's Lions-Cowboys. Even the Jags-Colts is interesting. I mean, it worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
The TV games coming up starting Thursday are the best of the year.
Yeah, and you got college football obviously getting crazy. Besides Lane Kiffin, I'm sure you saw Pat Fitzgerald headed to Michigan State. That's a home run hire. I mean, just an awesome weekend in sports. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Mine was spectacular.
Yep, same here. Sunday night after the conference championships, which I don't think are going to last very long. I don't think you need them anymore. They're going to put out the college football playoff. I thought Notre Dame was in over Miami for sure. Then I watched Miami hammer Pittsburgh, and now I'm not sure. At least Miami can say we got a great win over Notre Dame. Notre Dame can say we beat USC. I'm telling you, it's going to be razor thin. You just got to keep watching the games. Sark's showing up later, so is Urban Meyer. Well, I mean, college football over the next week is going to be crazy town. Lane Kiffin leaving Ole Miss for LSU was crazy town. It is hour number 3 on a Monday. Miami may not get in. Texas, to me, beat 3 teams that were ranked in the top 10 when they played them. And this is where I have a real issue, or I guess a real concern. I want to bring in Urban Meyer, 3 national championships, Florida, Ohio State, 17 years. Okay, so I want to throw this at you. Miami can say, we beat Notre Dame head-to-head. We have 4 common opponents. We beat 3 of them worse than you. We have a better defense and a better passing game. And by the way, we scheduled an SEC team. We beat them too. Florida just unraveled. And when we beat Florida State, they were good. And you know this. Teams fluctuate based on injuries and momentum. I think Miami's got a real argument. After watching them hammer, which I thought was a solid team, Pitt, I'm sitting there looking on the internet, and I'm like, I don't know. I think I'd have a real complaint. What do you make of Miami's argument over Notre Dame?
I wasn't able to watch it, but I'm like you. I did not expect that. I thought Pitt would be in a street fight with them, especially in the cold weather at home. And I have a lot of respect for Miami. They did not look like that early in the year. Carson Beck was throwing interception after interception. But I'm going to go back and watch it. I watched the highlights. So I agree. I think there's certainly a fight for Miami to get in there. And I don't know if it's time to go into this. I just, you know, I've mentioned this to you. I think the committee's got to go away. There's a way to get around this committee, and I'm not taking a shot at the committee. You have Chris Felica, you got the Bear, you got Mark Ingram, you got Matt Leinart, Brady Quinn, Urban Meyer. There's a bunch of national titles, Heisman's, a bunch of football guys. That's what they do. Chris Felica is unbelievable. What he watches, and we can't get it right. We are we're damn near in fistfights in that green room, getting ready to go on Big Noon because everybody's got, and we can't agree. So how in the world are athletic directors, conference committee, how are they coming up with who's going to be in the playoffs? So I'm a big believer in the 4-4-2-2-1-1 that was presented earlier about the committee goes away, the conferences take care of it, and that way, I'm going to add this. I know I'm talking a lot here. But how in the world, if I'm Ryan Day, I go talk to Ross, the AD at Ohio State, and I say, get that Texas game off our schedule next year. We're not playing it.
That's right.
Get me a good MAC school, because why would we play that game? Right now, if Cristo Conte, CDC, and Sarkisian, there's a chance they're going to be left out of the playoff because they played Ohio State week 1. Why would you do that? So we're getting ready to, Colin, arguably the worst non-conference games in the history of college football, unless something's done where they make those games count and don't get penalized for it.
No, I mean, I think it's time to get rid of committees. I think you're right. Because when I'm watching them blow out Pitt, and I thought cold weather Pitt, good fist fight. No way. And I'm like, man, they're going to have an argument. I want to talk about, it's interesting. So Ohio State is favored, by 5-6 points against Indiana. I know who the better team is, but I'm thinking if I'm Ohio State, I just come out of this emotional peak with Michigan, and it's 2025. I don't care about Indiana. I don't care about that. I want to get healthy. I want to be healthy and ready for the playoff. Yeah, I think it's a huge disadvantage for Ohio State. I mean, I know they have better players. Do you think there'll be a letdown for the Buckeyes and they could get beat?
I don't think so. I think that was not a game where it went down to the last game. I was there, obviously. Ohio State handled them. I mean, they handled them. I made a comment before the game. You score 3 touchdowns, you win the game, because that's how good Ohio State's defense. And I think the Wolverine offense is not very good. I think someday they might be with this quarterback. They're certainly not now. I don't believe that. I believe that Coach Day, he's been very conscientious. They've had a relatively easy schedule coming up. Their quarterback has only thrown, going into the game, Colin, he's only thrown 25 passes in the fourth quarter. So this team is not spent. This team actually is they were on a pitch count pretty much all year. They huddle. They don't go fast. They're running 20 plays fewer per game than we did in 2018. On defense, going into the Wolverine game, they've played the fewest snaps of all the major schools in the country on defense. So this team is not spent. They're going to be healthy going this game.
Okay, so listen, college football schedule or its calendar is weird. So I don't love Lane Kiffin bailing on the players. He wanted to coach the team, but there's no way Ole Miss is going to let you have that job. That's ridiculous. But I mean, it's weird. Like, I always kind of fall into this. You hire Lane Kiffin, it's not because of charm school. He got fired on a tarmac. Tennessee, they wanted to burn his house down. It's like, listen, I argue this, Urban, that Ole Miss has mostly been irrelevant outside of Eli and Arch Manning. That if you would have signed up for this, if I would have said to you, okay, Lane Kiffin's going to come to your program, you're going to have your best season ever. Everybody's talking about you. Number one offense in the country. He's going to bail on you and tick you off at the end. Would you sign up for it? Though everybody in the state would have signed up for it, right?
Of course they would have. And, it's unprecedented. I actually was texting back and forth with Lane where they let me, when I left Utah and went to Florida, they let me come back and coach in the BCS bowl game. First time a non-BCS school made it. I met with the players. They were good enough to say, come on back. This is a whole different animal. He's going to an in-conference rival, and he's walked out on players that gave him everything they got. So I'm torn. I mean, I was saying he was going to stay for that reason. That you can't. Lane Kiffin's not going to make a decision for money. I don't know him that well, but I know him well enough. He's more a competitor than he is worried about money. In his heart, he must have think it's going to be an easier path or a better path to win a national title. That's the only thing I can think of to be able to walk away. I don't think he even met with the players. I heard the AD won't let him. They just went the best season in the history of Ole Miss. That team is prepared to go make a run deep into the playoffs, and he's gone. I mean, I had mixed when I saw that happen. My heart hurts for those players. And Colin, a bunch of coaches got on that plane.
I know. That's it. Listen, it's. I said I've compared college football to Bitcoin. Don't buy it if you're not ready for an unregulated mess. Wild fluctuations. You love it one day, you hate it the next. You hire Lane Kiffin, it always ends bizarrely. And so, okay, so I didn't listen. Nothing against Texas A&M, but I looked at their schedule. They got a break. They didn't play Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss, or Oklahoma. So when you play Texas, you better win, and I don't care where the game's at. I watched them get into a hole against South Carolina. I thought they were a fun watch. I didn't think they were a special team. So now Texas, I would put Texas in. I would. What would you do with Texas?
Well, there's 6 teams right now on that darn bubble, and then you say Texas goes in, and Notre Dame's out. It's going to be
they play in a tougher conference.
I know. I know. I'm answering your question. I don't know. I think Texas deserves to be in the playoff, and I would not penalize that loss against Ohio State. You can't do that. You can't, or you're getting ready to see Old Dominion's going to become a favorite of all these big teams playing, or teams like that, because they need, no one cares. No one's saying a word about Indiana's non-conference schedule. No one. Yet Texas made a decision to get on a plane and go play the number one team in the country or number two team in the country on the road. And they got beat in a tough game. And now there's a chance because of that, because if they didn't play that game, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Of course they'd be in.
Yeah, of course.
Of course they'd be in.
I'm with you. I think it's unfair. And the other thing is, it was on the road. We didn't know at the time Ohio State's the best defense in a decade. We didn't know that.
Right.
So I mean, we just didn't know. It's on the road. And the other thing is, they were breaking in 4 new offensive linemen. So it was, right. I mean, we were saying how good Ohio State was. We were like, we had a couple of Ohio State guys that we thought as freshmen and sophomores could start in the NFL right now. So I don't know. I'm with you on this. I think Miami's got a totally legitimate argument, and I think Texas may get hosed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm worried about it. Let me leave you with this thought. And Jerry DiNardo from Big BTN gave it to me yesterday. It's one of the most profound things I ever heard. It's the only multi-billion-dollar business in the history of our country that's being run by volunteers. Think about that. You have a committee. They're all volunteers. And Jerry told me, Coach DiNardo told me stories where ADs would tell him that they would have like an intern come in and watch film because they're so busy, whatever jobs they have, and they would help. So you have volunteers that are getting interns to help them rank teams. Now, I'm not saying they'll do it. I don't know. This is what Jerry DiNardo told me. The only business, multi-billion-dollar business, that you have a group of volunteers are making the decisions. I just think it's got to go away, and it's all play-in. Let the conferences handle it. It's a play-in business. And that way, the best teams are in the conference, and they do it on the field or in the playoff.
Okay, well, you're going to be at that Ohio State Indiana game.
You're right there.
Yeah, be a good game to go to. I'm actually busy that day, but I'll watch it on TV.
I stood next to 2 teams. Indiana, I love their coach. I love their quarterback. Mendoza's got to start playing better. He's had a couple of bad games. But Ohio State, man, that's one of those, I didn't see it. I didn't know it was going to be like that because they lost so many good players. That's one of those LSU-looking teams back like when I was at Florida. I mean, that is a great-looking team.
Yeah, they're big. They're big everywhere. Good seeing you, Coach.
Good to see you, Colin.
Yeah. I mean, Ohio State's better than Indiana. By the way, Indiana's out of conference. Old Dominion, Indiana State, and Kennesaw State. Not great. I mean, not great. Miami scheduled Florida and beat Florida State in conference when Florida State was pretty good. And Florida State's got, NFL athletes. It matters. I'm always going to defend scheduling tough games. You schedule an SEC team, you go on the road, I'm always going to defend you. I use this metaphor. You're at a bar, there's a beautiful woman, you're a guy, you walk up, you're gracious, you're classy, you ask her out, she says no. I don't think less of you. I think more of the ask. Most guys, they're not going to go up there. It's like you scheduled Ohio State at home. It's a close, what was it, 14-7? It's a close game. I don't know. I don't think less of you. I know a lot of teams, I think Michigan would like to have been in a touchdown game against Ohio State, and they were at home. It's the hurt. J-Mac's in a good mood. Brock Purdy lit it up, and Austin Reeves looks like Luka. Listen, Austin Reeves can score. And the Lakers are a lot of fun. They're a very good offensive team. And we talk about NFL coaches. J.J. Redick knows what he's doing on offense. When you watch the Lakers, the spacing, the pace, and offensively, they're a very gifted team. You got a couple of icons. Austin Reeves, pretty cool when an undrafted guy, or like Jokic second round. I mean, there's a lot of global talent for basketball in our own backyard. Oklahoma kid, undrafted, And that, by the way, he's been a grinder. He didn't walk into this league doing 20 a game. I mean, he has worked, and the Lakers have been patient. Austin Reeves, I'll give you credit. Like you, a little bit of a gunner, but I understand he doesn't want to play a lot of defense, but Austin Reeves deserves credit. He has worked his butt off to be a really good pro. That is all work in the gym. It's, I'm not saying he's not talented, but go look at his averages. He's gotten like 18% better every single year. Total mad respect for Austin Reeves. Having a great start to the season. J-Mac with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
All right, I know it's a big college football day, but there is some breaking NFL news. Shedeur Sanders, who was, I thought, mid yesterday, he's going to get his third straight start, Colin. They just announced that Stefanski will get an extended look for the rest of the season. Now, I don't know if that means he's starting every game, but they're going to be looking at him. He wasn't great against the Niners, but as we predicted, Saleh was going to dial up some stuff.
By the way,
they
special
didn't blitz.
No, and the special teams, I mean, they whiffed on looked like a high school drop punt.
Yeah.
That was a huge, this is not on Shedeur. He was fine. He was more than fine, more than good enough. Yeah. They didn't do much for him defensively, and their special teams stunk.
And Brock Purdy did also hit a dance, which we won't get into because you're Mr. Anti-Brock Purdy. Anyways, here's Shedeur after the loss talking about playing well.
Obviously, we lost, so, I didn't play well. There's definitely things on film, I'm going to look back and want to get back and want to see. But at least moving forward, I know what we could do differently going about the week and being able, to get fully prepared for every possibility.
You know what? He last couple of weeks, he sounds humbled. He knows how hard it is. There's a lot of responsibility. And again, we got to be fair about this. Just like the Miami Hurricanes, we got to be fair. He's now playing, and he's been better than a lot of people thought he would be. Well, he's more than capable.
He's been more than solid. They do have a layup next week against the Titans in a game. You love to talk corner TV games. I mean, Browns-Titans, battle for the #1 pick, essentially.
No layups in the NFL.
No layups. All right, let's move on to the Houston Texans. Colin, now, this was an interesting game. I initially gave out Colts here, and then after I found out Daniel Jones was playing with a broken leg, I flip-flopped and went with the Texans, who got the win. But there is some concern about these Colts. Sauce Gardner, you mentioned, got injured. And listen, Colts are struggling. Meanwhile, here come the Texans. They have a huge game against the Chiefs this week in Arrowhead, and C.J. Stroud is back. C.J. Stroud looked good.
Yep.
Colin, here's Stroud. We're super dangerous. We lost some close games against really good teams. If we can find a way to win games after Thanksgiving, we'll put ourselves in any position we want. This defense is playing nasty.
Oh, this defense is – here, listen.
Yep.
I prefer offensive coaches. If you're going to go defense with a head coach, you got to go young. Mike McDonald's defense posted a shutout in Seattle, and DeMeco Ryans' defense, I'll make the argument the best defense in the NFL today is Houston. That's what my eyes tell me.
Yeah, I think I agree. They're the first team to hold the Colts under 20 points this season. Now, the Colts have some issues. It looks like they're stuck in mud a little bit with the Jonathan Taylor run game. But as for Houston, Colin, I missed this last night, that Houston was getting 4 points going into Arrowhead. Okay? It's down to 3.5 right now. Is that a game you're interested in betting? Because Stroud looked better.
No, I think Houston's the play.
Well, coming off the concussion, people are like, quarterback struggle coming off. But Stroud was out for like 2 or 3 weeks. This wasn't like they rushed him back. Right. Nico Collins looked good.
Well, Davis
Woody
Mills
Marks, your boy from USC, looks good. I think this is an interesting team. Now, if I told you Jacksonville was going to be leading this division,
I would trust, in my opinion, and I think Liam Cohen's done a great job, I would take Houston over Jacksonville. I would trust Houston more.
Well, what's crazy is Houston, if they don't beat the Chiefs, they probably won't make the playoffs. So you get Colts or Jacksonville in the playoffs based on the schedule. Just a wacky season in the NFL. Final story, Colin, let's go to the Seattle Seahawks.
Wow.
Who destroyed Max Brosmer and the Vikings 26-0. The big story here, of course, was Sam Darnold. Afterward, this was a big revenge spot for him. He did not play particularly well yesterday, but they didn't need it because the defense went off. Darnold signed a 3-year, $100 million contract. Here he is talking about why he left Minnesota for Seattle.
I think for me it was, just understanding kind of, what was, what was being talked about just in terms of, behind closed doors with, the people over there and my people. But at the end of the day, I made the decision to come here, and I'm very, very happy about that decision and excited to, continue to work the way that we've been working here and continue to build the relationships in that locker room and with the coaching staff here.
You know what's amazing about Seattle? It's crazy. DeMarcus Lawrence looks like a new body and a new player. Now, he was with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I don't remember him being this cut or this fast. Ernest Jones was good with the Rams. He's good with the Seahawks out of Texas A&M. Good player. DeMarcus Lawrence, he looks like 6 years younger. I mean, when you're in the NFL on the defensive side for 12 years, the league takes its toll on you. He has been unbelievable for the Seahawks.
Yeah, who has not been unbelievable the last couple of weeks is Sam Darnold. So, listen, I'm not bashing him. I just remember last year, late in the season, after all the tape was out there, he struggled. Yesterday, 128 yards passing. Any fantasy owners who have Jackson Smith and the Jigba know what's up. He had 2 catches for 4 yards.
They blitzed heavy on the right side, on his right side, every play. So he had, he must have had 6 balls batted down at the line.
It was a rough one. It's all going to come down to the rematch against the Rams. They win that, I think they win the division because that Rams lost to Carolina. If they lose that, then I think things get squirrely. They're a wild card team. They have to go on the road. And then you start asking, I don't know, what's going on with Darnold late in the season, back-to-back seasons?
I don't think he's the issue. I think, listen,
Well, wait, the defense is great. You just gassed up Lawrence and company.
The offense is very capable. They scored 26 points. They're very capable. Now, some of that was Ernest Jones had a tutty, but they're fine.
Some of that was Brosmer. Did you see that interception that he did?
It was bad.
Colin,
that's bad.
That may be the worst decision of the season by any quarterback. I couldn't believe it.
J-Mac with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
Doing a lot of college football this last hour because there's so much going on. I said this earlier about Lane Kiffin, is you would have signed up for it. You would have. Not every relationship is a 30-year marriage. Sometimes it's 2-3 years dating. Lane Kiffin took you to a place you'd never been to. You won 11 regular season games. He left abruptly. And I know a lot of people don't like it. I think a lot of it's a college football calendar issue. I've been saying this for years. The reason boxing mostly died in this country isn't because we don't like watching fights. It was selfishly run by promoters. It didn't have a central figure. And then UFC with Dana White came in and overtook it and was more consistent, gave you better fight cards more consistently. So, listen, people don't like getting dumped. When LeBron left Cleveland, it's not that he left, it's the way he left. No, he left. You didn't have to like it, but there is no way to leave. Carmelo left the Nuggets. Dwight Howard in his prime left Orlando. There's no perfect way to leave. It never feels right. So, I'm not defending Kiffin on that, but, again, it's let's not pretend college football is the Vatican. The business. It's wheeling and dealing. And I've compared it to Bitcoin. It's unregulated. Every man for himself. Wild fluctuations and swings. And, Ole Miss, my take is you win 11 games, you're the number 1 offense in the country. You don't have to be bitter. I understand being bitter for the hour or the day. It's time to move on. Well, I've said this. I have always, if you get on the phone and say, yeah, I'll go play out of conference in August at Ohio State, at Oklahoma, at Clemson, and you lose close, I will not hold it against you. Anybody can schedule Panera Bread, okay? To schedule Ohio State, I'm like, that's a big boy program. So I would put Texas in. I don't have a problem with it at all. Steve Sarkisian, their head coach, is joining us live. They're the only team with 2 wins over opponents currently ranked in the college football top 10. So that matters to me. And Urban Meyer said this. If we punish you for Ohio State, which, by the way, you lost closer to Steve Sarkisian joining us. You lost closer. In fact, I'll play this. Here was Urban a bit ago telling us why Texas should be in. Let's play the tape.
I think Texas deserves to be in the playoff, and I would not penalize that loss against Ohio State. You can't do that. You can't, or you're getting ready to see Old Dominion's going to become a favorite of all these big teams playing, or teams like that, because they need, no one cares. No one's saying a word about Indiana's non-conference schedule. No one. Yet Texas made a decision to get on a plane and go play the number 1 team in the country or number 2 team in the country on the road. And they got beat in a tough game. And now there's a chance because of that, because if they didn't play that game, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, and I also have, Sark, thanks for joining us. I've also said this. I'm more willing to give an SEC team a loss that's perceived as ugly. And on Florida, by the way, when you lost, was better than they are at the end of the season. But what would you say to people, Sark, that go, Steve, Georgia and Ohio State are fine, but that Florida game, what would you say to the critics?
Well, I'd say this, at the end of the day, in this conference, it's not about getting up for 2 games a year. It's week in and week out and the grind of this conference. And to go play your SEC opener in the swamp against Florida, not an easy task in that environment against that team with the quality of players that they had. And I understand, hey, years can go the way that they go. But at the end of the day, I'd love to say that we went out and played a perfect season. We didn't. We lost some tough games, but so did a lot of other people. I think the difference is we won some really big games. We played 5 top 10 teams in the country. Out of our 12 regular season games, 5 of them were against top 10 ranked teams in the country. 3 of those were wins, 2 of those of which are ranked in the current top 10, and the other one, Vanderbilt, is just outside the top 10. We finished the season after that Florida game 6-1. And of those 6 wins, 4 of them were against top 10 ranked teams. We went 3-1 in those 4 games. We capped it off with a double-digit win against the number 3 team, undefeated Texas A&M team in the country. So all in all, we're proud of what we did. I think we're more than deserving of being in this playoff because I think ultimately is this, Colin. If we're going to get into looking at records, which is what the AP poll does, the AP poll, the reporters, they can't watch every game. All right, did they win? Did they lose? What was the score? All right, they were favored by 28. They won by 31. All right, they rank by records, and that's clear. But my understanding of the committee is how do you play against the good teams? How do you play against the common opponents? How do you play against, because when you go into the playoffs, nobody's going to be favored by 28 points. Right? These games are all, they're going to be tight ball games. How do you play against the good teams? And if you only had 1, 2, or 3 shots against the good teams and you didn't win, you didn't win. To me, that's part of your resume. We had 5 opportunities, and that's 2 more than any other team in the country. And we won 3 of them, which is the best since 2019 when Joe Burrow and LSU, beat 3 teams that were ranked in the top 10 during the regular season. So it's a pretty monumental and historic run that we had to get on. And don't get me wrong, I wish we went undefeated too. But there was a tall task with a new team. We fought our tails off. We fought our tails off in Columbus, Ohio. We fought our tails off in Athens, Georgia. And we fought our tails off in Gainesville, Florida. 3 of the probably most difficult places to play in the country. And at the end of the day, we're 9-3. We're 6-2 in the Southeastern Conference. We've beaten 3 top 10 ranked teams, 2 of which are current top 10 ranked teams, 1 of which was undefeated up until last week. So I'm very proud of what we've accomplished, and unequivocally, I think we should be in the playoffs. I'm actually kind of shocked we're actually having a discussion about this. But again, there's 2 teams ranked in front of us that we just beat. One we just beat this last month. And so I'm a little concerned about what the committee's looking at. And to your point, if we're just going to look at records, I got to reevaluate our future schedules because I have to do what's in the best interest of the University of Texas. If we're going to look at records, I got to make sure I'm putting us in position to have the best record possible at the end of the season, as opposed to playing really good teams and then looking at the total body of work.
The other thing, I said this earlier, I watched Miami play Pitt up north in bad weather and beat the you-know-what out of them. And I'm like, well, they beat Notre Dame head-to-head, and I just watched them hammer a solid Pitt team. So now I have a different opinion this morning. They had 4 common opponents. Miami beat 3 of them worse. They have a better defense. So I look at Arch Manning. So because Texas is so high profile, all your games get talked about, especially the big games. People aren't paying attention to Arch's last 5 games where he's got 16 touchdowns, 2 picks, 310 a game. So you're not the same offense. Also, you introduce 4 new offensive linemen. Well, now they've got all these games under their belt. So if this Texas team played the early Texas team, you would win. Let's talk Arch Manning. You're a different offense today than when I watched you in August. Are you not?
No question about it. I mean, just his level of maturity, his growth. No college football player has been under more scrutiny, been under a bigger microscope, been more scrutinized, been more criticized. And this guy has handled it like an absolute pro. And all he did is continue to work and get better and better and better. Unless you don't watch our games, then I have a hard time people making a comment about, is he a better player? Is he not? If you watch us play,
oh yeah,
there's nobody who watches us play doesn't think that this guy's not a better player.
Oh,
and
much
a better
better
leader and a better passer. I mean, it's easy to see. And that's my concern, though, is that people don't really watch the games. They look at highlights and they look at a box score as opposed to actually watching the games and how does he play against the real quality opponents. And at the end of the day, I mean, this guy's been, I don't know if there's a quarterback playing better than him right now in the country, quite frankly.
You know, I said this last year when Ohio State went to Autzen and lost on the final play. I said, I would actually rank them. I wouldn't drop them. I don't see that as a negative. You had the ball with under 2 minutes to go at midfield against Ohio State. You played them closer than everybody. You also lost only on the road. Georgia, Ohio State, Florida. I consider that. I contextualize all of it. Here's the thing it is interesting that I have always given credit to the bigger schools because the SEC and the Big Ten play in bigger stadiums. Also, when you play Ohio State the next week, you're all banged up. So, you know, when you play Georgia, nobody comes out of the Georgia game and says, well, we're totally healthy. And that's not the way the world works. Was there a moment in this season, though, then, because there was a lot of going back and forth, what's Texas going to be? When was the moment you thought to yourself, oh, we can compete for the national championship? Because I do think you can now.
Well, I think we had a real awakening against Oklahoma. And I think everybody holds Oklahoma in high regard. And that was coming out of the Florida game. And it was, who are we going to be? Were we going to be able to come out of that locker room in Gainesville, get back up off the mat, and go compete against a really good Oklahoma team? And we didn't just compete. We beat them by 3 scores, you know, on a neutral site field. And so at that moment, I said, you know what? We can go play and we can go beat anybody. And again, it hasn't been perfect along the way. But what I do know is we're a battle-tested football team. And I think that being a battle-tested football team, being a mature football team, helped us this past Saturday night against A&M. We're down 10-3 at half. There was no panic. Our guys went out and dominated the second half. We won the second half 24-7. We ran the football. We played great defense. You know, it's being a complete football team, and it's having the ability to be at your best when your best is needed against the quality opponents. I'm not talking about, hey, how do you play when you're favored by 28 points? How do you play against the really good teams? Because there's really good teams in the playoffs. And we know that firsthand because we've been to the semifinals the last 2 years. We've been a play away from playing for a national championship. And you need to be at your best when your best is needed against the best teams.
Yeah, I honestly believe you match up with Ohio State really well because you have high-end quarterback play. You can run the ball. And you put pressure on their young quarterback. So it's interesting to watch that game now that Ohio State's season has, we've seen all of it now. You matched up with them really well and didn't play particularly well there. Okay, I got to leave you on this. We both know Lane Kiffin. I think college football has a calendar issue. I don't know what coaches are supposed to do. Like, you know, you have to go out and get, not only is it hiring a coach, you got to get the best staff. So I feel some sympathy for Ole Miss, but I also feel bad for the coaches who have to leave players. What did you make of that whole drama?
Well, I think to your point, we do have a timing issue, and it's not just, the coaching carousel is part of it. Like the SEC just hired 5 new coaches yesterday. And obviously we've got National Signing Day here coming up on Wednesday. And so there's a reason everyone's hiring their coaches this week, and they're trying to close on their recruiting classes. We tried to fix that moving up the signing day to help because of the portal, but now we pushed the portal back till January. but then we never adjusted the high school signing date back to mid-December. And so everybody was in a scramble. Everybody was in a race. People got put in some compromising situations of what to do, how to do, when to do. And Lane had to make a decision. He made the decision to go to LSU. They had a great run at Ole Miss, and they had a very good football team. They took advantage of their schedule, and they won the games that, for the most part, that they were supposed to. And he made a decision to go to LSU, and now Ole Miss has got an opportunity to go do what they want to do. I think that the part that I want for our sport is, let's not make him out to be the villain. Let's not make, Ole Miss and their AD out to be the villain. It is what it is. Let's all move on.
Yeah. All right. Good luck to you. Congrats on that win. Really, really
Thanks,
impressive.
Colin.
It was great. Plus, I watched the Oklahoma game. That was impressive, too. Thanks, Sark.
Appreciate you, buddy. Hook 'em. See ya.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'll say it. Like, we got a 12-team playoff. I wish we had a 14. I wish we invited, because I have a really, really hard time when Ohio State lost last year to Oregon and Autzen. I came on the air and said they're going to meet again, and Ohio State's going to beat them. And it may be for the national championship. I did not believe that Oregon was necessarily better than Ohio State, but it was Autzen. Playing in Columbus against that defense, Arch Manning's biggest game, come on. That's 14-7. Wasn't that the final score? Low-scoring game. I actually think Texas doesn't match up well, in my opinion, with Georgia. I think Texas matches up with everybody really well. So that's where we are.